Hey everyone, welcome to the very last section of the Study Skills course. In section 8, we take a look at test writing strategies. The way that you approach a test is vitally important. Very few people know that there are certain strategies that if you put into place, it's going to help you to achieve much better results.
So what we're going to be doing in this lesson is we're going to be taking a look at the best way for you to tackle a paper to ensure that you maximize the amount of marks that you can generate for this test paper. But before you get the test paper, it is really important to note whether you are feeling stressed or anxious or not. We've done test anxiety, you know what it can do in a testing situation. So if you're feeling a little bit stressed, just regulate your breathing, breathe in, breathe out for a little bit until you're feeling a little bit calmer. Do a little bit of a pep talk, I can do this, I'm going to get an A. Whether you do or not, it doesn't matter, but what it does is it gears your brain up for the challenge, and your brain then feels pumped and wants to take on the challenge, and that change in attitude can be all the difference that you need. So what is it that you need to do when you get your test paper? First thing is read instructions. And I know students say to me, yeah, but the instructions are the same all the time, so I don't bother, I skip through. Don't. Make sure that you go through your instructions, because your teacher could list something that she hasn't listed before. You also need to know, is there going to be negative marking? Because that influences the way that you answer questions. Has your teacher asked you to draw in margins? Has she maybe told you to only answer select questions? You don't want to get to the end of the paper and realize you've answered questions that you didn't need to answer. And lastly, are there any specific instructions with regards to diagrams? I do know of teachers that will subtract marks if the instructions haven't been carried out correctly. So double check your instructions before you start your paper. The second thing you need to do is read through the paper. The whole paper from beginning to end before you answer questions. While you're reading through the paper, make a note of all the easy questions. So those questions that you go, oh, I know this, that is so easy, make a note of them, highlight, put a little star next to it. And the ones that you really find difficult, make a note of them as well, put a little dot or something so that you know that these are the ones that you're going to find challenging. The third thing that you need to do is do your easy questions first. Now, there are two reasons why we do this. If you tackle your difficult questions first, you start feeling this test is really difficult, it's so hard, and what does your brain do? It starts to stress, and we know what the brain does under stress. If you do your easy questions first, your brain is going, oh, this paper is so easy, I can handle it, this is absolutely great. And just that change in thought can help you through the paper. So you do the easy questions first, tackle the challenging ones afterwards. Also, what happens is that if you get stuck on difficult questions, you could have some really easy questions that you know at the end of the paper. You run out of time because you've been struggling over a difficult question. You miss out on vital marks that you could have guaranteed yourself if you had done them before you started the more difficult questions. So this is the best tip that you can ever get, and that is to do all your easy questions first. Time manage. The worst thing is to lose marks because you couldn't finish a paper. When you're doing the read through at the beginning, just make a little note as to how long you would like to take on each section, and then time yourself, which means that you should be taking in your own watch into your testing sessions. Right, the next thing you want to do is read the entire question, right? And this is important because I know what students do is they read the beginning of the question, they go, oh, I know what the teacher's asking, and then they answer. And then you miss out marks because you've answered incorrectly because you didn't read the question properly. So make sure you read the question from the beginning all the way through to the end. And one way you can do this is by taking a highlighter or a pencil and underlining all the key words in that question. Once you've underlined the keywords, reread the question. Make sure you know exactly what the question is asking of you before you tackle it. The next one is check your mark allocation. There is such a huge difference in the quantity and quality of your answer depending on the mark allocation. So there's a massive difference between if a question is out of 3 marks, or out of 2 marks, or out of 8 marks, or an essay question out of 20 marks. You have to make sure that you check that mark allocation. The mark allocation can also help you with your time management. So by taking a look at the mark allocation, you can set a time for each of the questions. All right, and lastly and most importantly, proofread. And that doesn't mean skimming over it quickly. You need to go over every single question and double check your answer. If you are doing a maths paper, then importantly choose a couple of sums to redo, just to double check your calculations and that you haven't made any errors. So guys, that is it, and that is the end of the Study Skills course. So stay connected with us because we'll be bringing out new things to help you all the time. And I wish you well on your educational journey, and I really hope that all your dreams come true.